بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Today's session, we're going to read from a book called Ahkam Tajmeel al-Nisa fi Shari'at al-Islamiyya, which means rulings of beautification and adornment regarding women. Beauty rulings, cosmetic rulings with regards to an-nisa, women, fi shari'at al-islamiyya, in the Islamic legislature, إعداد الدكتورة ازدهار بنت محمود ابن صابر المدني أستاذ أو طيب. Says here that the author of the book is Dr. Izdihar bint Mahmoud ibn Sabir al-Madani. So this doctor, she wrote a book called Ahkamu Tajmeel al-Nisa, rulings of beautification and adornment for women, not for men, but for women. The rulings that are specific to women pertaining cosmetics, beautification, fashion, etc. Pertaining to all the well-known rulings and unwell-known rulings, or not so well-known rulings, whether it be hair, makeup, high heels, cosmetic surgery, things like this, perfume, etc. In light of the Sharia al-Islamiyya, culture, modern day fashion, style, taste, opinion, that's all on the side of the curb right now. Right now is the Sharia, the rulings of the Deen of Al-Islam. And we want to read from today in this class, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, hopefully we'll have other classes. She says, Al-Matlub al-Thalith fi wasli al-sha'r, sha'r al-ras. She says, concerning extending one's hair. Extending one's hair. The extension of hair. Regardless whether it is what we call extensions, a wig, whatever that thing may be, is to make one's hair longer or bigger or puffier, extending the hair. طيب. Here on page 152, the doctor, she says, تقرر فيما سبق تكراره من كلام الارتباط وثيق الصلة بين الزينة وبين جمال شعر المرأة ولمعرفة المرأة بهذا الارتباط الوثيق بينهما، فهي تسعى دائما إلى إظهاره جميلا في أحسن سور الجمال وأكملها، ولها في ذلك قصص تحكى، فهذه التي وهبه الله شعرا ناعم الملمس تباهي به وتحاول إظهاره للناس، وتلك التي وهبت شعرا طويلا تفاخرت بطوله وعملت على أن يراه الناس، وغير ذلك كثير. على أن إيرادي لهذه الأمثلة ليس الهدف منه محاربة هذه الأعمال، لكن بيان مدى ارتباط الزينة والجمال عند المرأة قديما وحديثا، في أبدا دائمة العناية به، حريصة عليه، جاهدة في إخفاء عيوبه إن كان فيه عيب، وفي المحافظة عليه إن كان خاليا من العيوب. She starts off the chapter by mentioning the reality that there's a great relationship, a strong connection, a powerful bond between beautification, adornment, beauty, fashion, style, one's appearance, and the hair, the head, the wig, as we say, one's hair, pertaining to a woman. She says it's well known in history, it's well known in the different cultures and the different people that a woman always looks after her hair. And she wants her hair to be nice and to be fine. And if a woman has nice hair, she likes to show it off and boast and brag about it. Okay? She says that there are many stories regarding this, how a woman always wants to make her hair look nice and presentable. Obviously, in American culture, or in Canadian culture, or British culture, but specifically American culture, no doubt, we can directly relate to this. And not just American culture, but specifically urban culture. You know the importance of a woman's hairdo and a woman getting her hair done. How long she will sit in a chair. how much money she'll pay, what she will go through just to make her hair look the way she wants it to look, or her considerable other or significant other, husband, boyfriend, lover, whoever she's trying to please, or whether it's for work and the people outside on the train, on the bus stop, in her office, her boss, her employer, whatever the case may be. The concept of a woman looking after her hair and paying attention to her hair. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. So she says this is something which is natural for women among the different times and places and cultures. She mentions long hair and soft and fine silky hair. Obviously that doesn't pertain to everybody's culture or everyone's background. There are some women that don't have long hair naturally. Some women who don't have fine and silky hair naturally. And they have their different styles, what they do with their hair. One way or another, women look after their hair. That's generally accepted by everybody. Whether it's long hair, whether it's short hair, whether it's in braids, or plaits, an afro, a doobie, diamonds in one's hair, French braid, whatever style you wish to use, a perm, etc. Women look after their hair from the east to the west, the north, and the south. And she says that in this book, or in this chapter, I'm not fighting that. Women looking after their hair and taking pride in their hair. She said there's nothing wrong with that. Okay, however, we want to look at what the Sharia tells us. Okay, and what is our job and our duty with regards to the deen of Islam. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. And how these things, what she actually says here is how they are connected. And obviously the rulings that pertain to the hair, which she'll mention later on. She then says, ومن أبرز ما تحرص عليه المرأة في شعرها منذ القدم وما زال مستمرا إلى يومنا الحاضر عنايتها بطوله وغزارته فكم سمعنا عن مستحضرات جذبت النساء إليها وقد قال أصحابها عنها أنها مفيدة لإطالة الشعر وزيادة كثافته وهذا يدل على اهتمام ظاهر لا بأس به ما دام في حدود المباح. And she says, and from the greatest things that women give attention to and pay a great deal of notice towards regarding their hair is its length. Is its length. The color of the hair, the style of the hair, the softness of the hair, etc. But the length, how long is one's hair? And this is something that is very old. She says, Mundul Qidam, from a long time ago. Alright, even to this day, people, they're always looking for some way to make their hair grow longer. Magic grow. They're looking for some way to make their hair look longer than what it actually is. And for it to be thick and healthy, how many products are there? Now look at our culture now. Pantene Pro V, Revlon, this one, that one, so on and so forth. How many different shampoos and conditioners and tonics? How many different pills? People take cod liver pills and this pill and that pill to make their hair grow thick and for they have good, strong roots and for split ends to be done away with. And the list goes on. The list goes on. How much money is spent if you read books and watch the documentaries and the educational films, you'll find it $1 million business with regards to wigs and extensions. And it's a very, very big booming business. Alright, you go to Vietnam, you go to Japan, you go to Malaysia, these places. It's big, huge business for a woman to cut her hair. And there's a lot of thievery that goes on. A lot of people's wealth. People are extorted for their hair, extorted for their money, used and abused. If you go to Palestine, in the occupied territories of Palestine, whether you call it Israel or other than Israel, and you look at the Orthodox Jews or Hasidic Jews, they call them Usuliyun, fundamentalist Jews, extreme Jews, you'll find how big the wig business is there and how much hair is imported yearly, human hair, for Orthodox Jewish women who are married or divorced or widowed. Okay, with regards to their legislature and the obligation of them shaving their heads and covering their heads with something, whether it's with human hair, a wig, or a hat. And the list goes on. We're not talking about America and the West yet. Weaves and wigs, beauty salons, beauty parlors, okay? Fake hair, synthetic hair, horse hair, human hair, Okay, this is a huge business in India and Bangladesh, Sri Lanka. It's a huge business from east to west, north to south. People, they want long hair. Those who have long hair, they want a different color hair, different style hair, different texture of hair. She says this is something which is well known. And once more, there's nothing wrong with this as long as it is within the restrictions of that which is permissible. As long as it is in the restrictions of that which is mubah, that which is lawful and permissible. She then says, ولو قالت ولوصل الشعر في الإسلام أحكام يجدر بالمرأة المسلمة التعرف عليها قبل تفكيرها بالوصل فإن كان أمرا مباحا أقدمت عليه مطمئنة النفس وإن كان محرما ابتعدت عنه ابتغاء مرضات الله وقنعت بما أغناها الله به من الحلال الطيب. She says, and there are many rulings in Islam regarding extending one's hair that are very important for a woman to know. Very important for a woman to know. And before she thinks about extending her hair or putting in some type of hair or changing her hair color or the length or the style or the texture of her hair, then she should know what's permissible. That way she can do it and she is at rest. She doesn't have any worries or fears. And as far as if it's haram, then she should avoid it and stay away from it. And she should be pleased with what Allah Azza wa Jal has given her of the pure halal, the halal tayyib, that which is lawful and pure. There's no regret, all right? No looking over your shoulder with regards to the halal that Allah Azza wa Jal has given you. So the first point the doctor mentioned, she says, حُكْمُ وَصْلِ الشَّعْرِ. She says the ruling of extending one's hair. And before we continue reading, this applies to any other issue in Al-Islam. Things that have been coveted over the years with regards to men and women pertaining to a woman's anatomy. Things that have been looked after and cherished that women who don't have want to have. Something that they wish to get rid of or something that they wish to add on that are charms and pieces of beauty and means of attraction for the opposite sex or for a woman's insecurities, etc. This isn't what she's mentioned of this introduction isn't specific just to hair. It pertains to all types of other types of cosmetic surgeries, breast implants, breast reduction. It pertains to a woman wanting to be taller, a woman to be shorter, a woman wanting to have fair skin, a woman wanting to have dark skin. It pertains to a woman's lips being too big, a woman's lips being too small and thin. All the different things that women want to get done nowadays in 2018 of cosmetic surgery. A woman who's built in a certain fashion, she's displeased with her figure and she wishes to lose weight and starve herself. A woman who's thin and looks at herself as being fragile and frail, she wishes to eat and get different types of injections and implants and take different types of pills for her to have a different type of shape and physique. All right, things that women have coveted over the years and men have coveted over the years. This introduction is universal. If it's permissible and there's nothing wrong with it in the deen and it's a means of beautification and adornment, bismillah. If it's haram and unlawful or disliked, it's something which is doubtful, then that's a different story. So that's a universal principle what the doctor mentioned. Universal. طيب, moving forward. She says, قبل أن أذكر الحكم على الوصل بالتحريم أو غيره ينبغي أن أذكر جملة من الأحاديث التي تثبت الحكم فيه ومن هذه الأحاديث. She says here, before I mention the ruling of extending hair, is it haram, is it disliked, is it impermissible, is it a difference of opinion? She says it's important to mention some hadiths that explain and give us the ruling regarding extending hair and lengthening hair. And this is beautiful by the author right here to show you that the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ is the foundation. Before we get into the different comparative fiqh and what the Hanafis and the Shafi'is and the Malikis say, and Ibn Baz and Uthaymeen and this and that, let's mention the Sunnah. Let's mention the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, regardless whether you can take the ruling out yourself. Regardless whether the other hadith or the ulama differ on those hadith, let's just mention them. And perhaps that will give us the bedrock, the foundation, the stepping stone to walk upon regarding the rest of the issue, or the rest of the details of the issue with regards to extending and lengthening the hair. She says here, the first hadith, ما روته فاطمة بنت المنذر أنها أو قالت سمعت أسماء أو سمعت أسماء قالت سألت امرأة النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فقالت يا رسول الله إن ابنتي أصابت الحصبة فمرق شعرها وإني زوجتها أفأصل فيه فقال لعن الله الواصلة والمستوصلة أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. The first narration is reported by Fatima bint al-Mundhir. She says that سمعت أسماء قالت أو أنها قالت, I heard Asma saying that one day a woman asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and she says, O Messenger of Allah, indeed there is some type of illness or sickness, or there's some type of an issue and a problem that is befallen my daughter. It has befallen my daughter, and her hair has become tattered, is torn apart and falling out, etc. وَإِنِّي زَوَّجْتُهَا, and she's married. She's been married off. She says, أَفَأَصِلْ فِيهِ, can I supplement her hair, extend her hair, put something in on her hair? The Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, he says, لَعْنَ اللَّهُ الْوَاصِلَةَ وَالْمُسْتَوْصِلَةَ. Allah curses the woman who extends her hair, and Allah curses the extender and the extended. The woman who gets it and the woman who does it. And the footnotes, it says this hadith is collected by Imam al-Bukhari and collected tayyib. And perhaps it's a mistake in the footnotes where she says أخرجه البخاري طيب not خير, it will suffice. She says it's collected by Imam al-Bukhari, sufficient, even though go further than that. طيب, hadith number 2. ما روى حميد بن عبد الرحمن بن عوف أنه سمع معاوية بن أبي سفيان عام حج وهو على المنبر ويقول وتناول قصة من شعر كانت بيد حرصي أين علماؤكم سمعت رسول الله صلى الله عليه وسلم ينهى عن مثل هذا ويقول إنما هلكت بنو إسرائيل حين اتخذ هذه نساؤكم. The next narration is collected by Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah ta'ala as well. And he mentions the story of Muawiyah radiallahu ta'ala anhu. This is hadith collected by or reported by Humayd ibn Abdurrahman ibn Auf. And he mentions, he says here that Muawiyah radiallahu anhu was on the minbar on the year of Hajj, and he was mentioning here about some type of product or commodity, piece of hair, something of a wig, something that wasn't natural, artificial. He held it up and he said, أَيْنَ عُلَمَاؤُكُمْ? He says, where are your scholars at? I heard the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam forbidding this. And he said that Banu Israel went astray. And they were destroyed when they started doing this. Their women started practicing these types of things. The third narration, he says, وعن سعيد بن المسيب رحمه الله أنه قال قدم معاوية بن أبي سفيان المدينة آخر قدمة قدمها فخطبنا فأخرج كبة من شعر فقال ما كنت أرى أحدا يفعل هذا غير اليهود وإن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم سماه الزور يعني الوصال في الشعر. The next narration is also collected by Imam al-Bukhari, reported by Sa'id ibn al-Musayyib. He narrates a similar story from Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, when Muawiyah came to Medina for the last time, and he gave us a khutbah, and he spoke about a practice of the Jews with regards to a wig, with fake hair. Okay? And he says, the only people that I thought would do this were the Jews. And he said that the Prophet ﷺ, he called this zur. He called it falsehood. He called it falsehood. Khairan insha'Allah. Then we have hadith number 4. It says, when Aisha radiallahu anha أن امرأة من الأنصار زوجت أو ابنتها فتمعط شعر رأسها فجاءت إلى النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فذكرت ذلك له فقالت إن زوجها أمرني أن أصل في شعرها فقال لا إنه قد لعن الموصلات. Hadith is also collected by Imam al-Bukhari. Aisha radiallahu anha narrates that a woman from the Ansar, she married off her daughter, and for one reason or another her hair began to become unsightly, whether it fell out, whether it was falling out, but it wasn't right. Her hair wasn't right. So she went to the Prophet ﷺ and she mentioned and explained to him the situation. And she says that her husband tells her, or he has told me, to put hair on her, to extend her hair, to lengthen her hair. Should I do this? The Messenger of Allah alayhi salatu wasalam, he said no. He says la, because the muwassilat, women that extend hair, are cursed. خيرا inshallah. The author, she says, وغير ذلك من الأحاديث التي فيها النص على لعن الواصلة والمستوصلة، وقد ذكر ابن حجر تفسير الوصل في الشعر بأنه الزيادة فيه من غيره، والواصلة من تصل الشعر لنفسها أو لغيرها، والمستوصلة التي تطلب فعل ذلك ويفعل بها. She says, and there are many other hadiths regarding this. There are many other hadiths on the topic, on the subject, in which there's clear text stating that they are cursed. The woman who's wasila and the woman who's mustawsila. And then she goes on to explain what's meant by the tafsir of these terms, which we've already translated into English. The woman who does it, the hairstylist, the woman who gets it, the client, the customer, etc. She then says, ومع ورود هذه الأحاديث الصحيحة الصريحة في حكم الوصل فقد ورد الخلاف بين فقهاء المذاهب في بعض الأمور المتعلقة بالوصل، فهنالك من اقتصر التحريم على الوصل بالشعر، وهناك من أباح الوصل بما كان يباح استعماله في غير الوصل، وقصر التحريم على ما حرم أو ما حرم استعماله أصلا. وفيما يلي تفصيل اختلاف العلماء في المسألة ومناقشة أقوالهم. She says, and even, or despite the fact that we have all of these authentic hadiths that are direct, frank, right to the point, there's difference of opinion among the fuqaha of Islam regarding certain issues that pertain to extending and lengthening the hair. Alright? Those who say that it's only haram if it's actual hair, meaning that if she uses something other than hair, it's permissible. Does that include synthetic hair? Does that include yarn? Does that include other things that aren't from humans or that isn't hair, animal or human? She says, and there are others who say, من أباح الوصل بما كان يباح استعماله في غير الوصل. That which is permissible if it wasn't extension, if it wasn't lengthening. And there are others who say that if it's haram from the get-go, then it's haram to use, or for it to be used as extensions, and if not, then no. Depending on the matter. Is it najis? Is it tahir? Is it stolen? Etc. So before we move forward, we see that the hadith clearly prove and shed light on a ruling. If you didn't hear of any madhab, or if you didn't study any with any scholar or any fatwa, your responsibility and your duty as a Muslim will be to stay away from it until you know of something else. As far as if you've learnt and you've been taught that there is a permissible ruling or a different ruling, or there's a detail if a woman is sick, if she has alopecia or something like this, then that's a different story, depending on how much knowledge you have on the issue. And if you feel that it is haram, absolutely, and nothing can be used, then you're not going to lose by knowing more and studying more. And it also goes to show us one of our golden rules that we always try to emphasize: do not force your view upon the people. Teach the sunnah, spread the sunnah, explain the sunnah. If someone asks you your personal opinion, what do you feel is correct, you tell them. But do not batter or beat the people up and bash the people. Okay, do not abuse the people and call them names because they don't take your conviction on an issue in which you've heard one hadith or maybe 5 hadiths and one fatwa, and that's it. And you think that that's ijma'. The ulama of Islam unanimously agree. And you're miskeen, you don't even realize that the scholars of Islam, the actual salaf themselves, and the ulama who came after them, differed on the issue. And many of them said it's permissible, and you don't even know. Because you're a fanatical, blind follower that forces and pushes people into your narrow, closed-minded understanding of knowledge. So avoid that. Avoid that. If this is your opinion, that's fine. Explain to the people the proofs, the evidence is. Tell them what you feel is correct. And that's it. You don't have to beat them up and abuse them. Khairan, inshallah. And for the student of knowledge is the importance of reading and studying, and you'll be shocked when you actually read and study in the actual books of the scholars of Islam, and not just a modern-day scholar and a fatwa of a modern-day mufti. You actually read and study the traditional Islamic fiqh, you'll find an entire world. So it's very important to scratch beneath the surface, as we always say for the Tulab al-Ilm. Moving forward, she says, now we're going to mention the details of the ulama of Islam and the different madhahib of Islam. أولا المذهب الحنفي. First is the school of law of Abu Hanifa and his disciples. What do they say regarding this issue? ذهب فقهاء الحنفية إلى حرمة وصل المرأة شعرها بشعر آدمي سواء كان شعرها أم شعر غيرها أو شعر طيب. She says here, the Hanafi scholars, they say that it is impermissible for a woman to extend her hair with human hair. She cannot extend her hair with human hair, regardless whether it's her own human hair that she cut off and puts back on, or whether it is another woman's hair. Pay attention. A woman may trim her hair, save it for when she grows older, or when she becomes stressed out, or a disease or sickness comes and goes. And when her hair is full, she cuts it and trims it, and she gets it placed into a wig or made for extensions. And then when the illness comes back, she puts it on. Or whether it's her sister's hair, or a woman from India, or Japan, or Vietnam, wherever the case, Laos, Thailand, another human being's hair, they say no, the hair cannot be of a human being. Cannot be of a human being. مستشهدين في ذلك بالأحاديث الواردة في لعن الواصلة والمستوصلة، ومن هنا يرتبط تحريمه بتعريفهم المقيد للواصلة، حيث عرفوها بأنها التي تصل الشعر بشعر الغير، والتي يوصل شعرها بشعر آخر زورا، والمستوصلة التي يوصل لها أو يوصل لها ذلك بطلبها. He says, and the reason why they say this, listen carefully before you refute and reject and say it's batil and it's bid'ah. Understand, as one of my teachers taught me in Medina, he said, الفهم شيء والاقتناع شيء. Understanding is one thing, and conviction is a different thing. You don't have to be convinced, but at least understand what's being said. The reason why they say this is because they make a definition of the two terms, al-wasila wal-mustawsila. They define the terms, and it goes to show you some of the differences between the people of knowledge is not because they don't implement the sunnah or have the sunnahs, they have different rationale. They have a different way of looking at it and a different way of approaching it. They have a different understanding of the Arabic language of the term that the Shafi'is may have or the Malikis may have. So this is one of the reasons why there's a difference of opinion. They say that the wasila, the woman that gives the extension or the lengthening, is the woman who puts hair on another woman's hair. Tasil al-sha'ra bi sha'r al-ghayr. Extends one woman's hair with another person's hair. Okay? He says, وَالَّتِي يُوصَلْ شَعْرُهَا بِشَعْرٍ آخَرٍ زُورًا. He says, falsely. Okay? Cheating, deception, and making her hair look longer than it actually is. And the mustawsila is the woman whose hair is extended with her request. So they automatically define it as it has to be another person's hair. So that means that if it isn't another person's hair, then according to the Hanafis, they would say it's permissible, as long as it isn't human hair. So a real life or modern day implementation of this will be horse hair or a pony hair. It's not a human being's hair. So it doesn't, or it's not necessarily included in their definition. Tight, moving forward. ورد عن بعضهم أنه إذا وصلت المرأة شعرها بشعر غيرها فإنه مكروه، وهذا الحكم بناء على استلاع الحنفية للمكروه، فهم قد يطلقونه ويريدون به المحرم أو المكروه تحريما أو المكروه تنزيها، وما يوافق قول الجمهور في المكروه. She says here, she says in the correction, she says وورد عن بعضهم. Okay, not ليس ورد وورد. She says, and there are others who say that if a woman puts her hair or puts another person's hair on her head, then it's only makruh. It's makruh. And she goes on to break down this term makruh. According to the Hanafis, makruh doesn't necessarily mean makruh to the rest of the scholars, but they mean it's actually haram too. It's haram as well, but it isn't of the same level as that which is clearly mentioned to be haram, muharram, based off of the level of the proof, the dalil. If it's from the Quran or hadith mutawatir, then they'll say muharram, shay qat'i. And if it's from a hadith or a hadith al-ahad, then they'll say, for example, makruh. Or if it's based off of other adillah, that's not as strong and irrefutable. At the end of the day, the Hanafi view so far is that it's haram if a woman uses another person's hair. Another person's hair. Okay, and it doesn't necessarily specify another woman's hair, a man's hair, but a human hair. Al-ghayr, someone else. Okay, so far. طيب. Moving forward. جاء في حاشية الدر المختار ومكروهه وهو ضد المحبوب قد يطلق على الحرام وعلى المكروه تحريما إلى آخره. طيب. طيب. Moving forward, she goes on to explain the different usages of the term haram and makruh according to the Hanafi scholars, right? So we have for sure that first concept is haram or makruh, whether it means disliked, actually disliked, you can still do it, or whether it means it's actually haram, but they have a special usage of the terminology makruh. خيرا إن شاء الله. طيب. Moving forward. غير أن الكراهة التحريمية لا تتمشى مع كون الوصل عملا لعنت فاعلته والمفعول بها، إذ أن دلالة اللعن على تحريم من أقوى الدلالات كما يقرر ذلك علماء الأصول ذلك، فالأولى حمل لفظ الكراهة الوارد عنهم على تحريم. She says, due to the fact that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned curse and cursed, it seems, and before we go to it, seems this is from the strongest of styles for something to be haram. Is from the strongest ways to prove that something is haram. She says that which is best and that which seems to be most correct is that what those Hanafis meant was actually haram and not just makruh, according to the other ulama of Islam, the other traditional schools of thought. So therefore, one can conclude that that's the Hanafi madhab regarding extending one's hair with someone else's hair. She moves on. استثناءات الحنفية من حكم الوصل. رخص فقهاء الحنفية في غير شعر بني آدم تصنعه المرأة لتزيد في قرونها روي عن أبي يوسف. She goes on to say some of the exceptions that the Hanafis have made regarding extensions, regarding false hair, fake hair, hair that's not yours. And it's something that we've just previously extracted. I've extracted. She says some Hanafis say that if the hair isn't human hair, then it is permissible for a woman to use it to extend her plaits, to extend her braids. And this is something which was mentioned from Abu Yusuf, one of the top disciples of Abu Hanifa. As we just said, we've understood this from the text, reversing the mirror now. This is one way, now let's turn the reverse angle the other way. If they say that it's haram to use another person's hair, then that excludes hair that isn't from a person, as we just said, such as horsehair. ومن ذلك الوبر فلا بأس أن تجعله المرأة في قرونها وذوائبها جاء عنهم وإنما يرخص فيما يتخذ من الوبر فيزيد في قرون النساء وذوائبهن. She says here, and from that is al-wabar, and wabar means fur, animal fur. Or one could translate the word wabar to mean animal hair, because all animals don't have fur, such as goats. Goats have hair. Okay, it's actual sha'r. It's lengthy, long. It's not like a sheep that has fleece. Okay, or other animals that in which there's not actual fur, like a horse tail. It's actually hair. It's hair. She says, it's mentioned in some of the Hanafi books here, that there's nothing wrong with a woman placing it in her plaits and her braids. And others say the same thing. And she mentions all of her sources here in the footnotes. Hashiyat ibn Abidin, Majma al-Anhar, Al-Fatawa al-Hindiya, Fatawa Qadi Khan. Okay, those are the famous Hanafi sources for their school of thought. She says, إِلَّةُ تَحْرِيمٍ عِنْدَ الْحَنَفِيَّةِ. Why is it haram according to the Hanafis? And this is going to show you why they say certain things. What is the illah? What is the reason why it's haram? Such as alcohol. Why is alcohol haram? Is alcohol haram because it's najis, or is it haram because it intoxicates? Proving that if a person has a non-alcoholic beer or non-alcoholic wine, one could drink it because it is no longer an intoxicant. That's the reason why it is haram. Riba is haram because of this. So if there's a transaction in which it doesn't exist, then it's not haram, etc. The reason why it's haram. She says, وإن إلة التحريم عند فقراء الحنفية لفعل الوصل بشعر الآدمي في كونه تزويرا ولما فيه من الانتفاع بأجزاء الآدمي. She says the reasons why they say it's haram, first and foremost, is that it's because it's tazwir, it's false, it's deception. Using another woman's hair is a means of deception. And it's also a means of using another part of the human being. Ajza'ul adimi. This is a person's hair, this is their body, their parts is supposed to be left on them. It's not supposed to be used by someone else. That's their reasoning. Does it make sense? Do you agree with it? Do you understand it? That's their reasoning. And they're entitled to that. They are independent jurists, and they are not restricted by anyone else's understanding. So that's why they say it is haram. One can bring the argument and say, which is going to come later on in other madhabs, well, if a woman extends her hair for her husband, and he knows that her hair is short, and that's not the true length of her hair, or the true color of her hair, or she doesn't have curly hair, she has straight hair, or she doesn't have this type of hair, what's the problem? One could possibly make that argument. Moving forward, she says, خلاصة رأي الحنفية في الوصل. يرى الحنفية حرمة الوصل بشعر الآدمي مطلقا لما فيه من التزوير واستعمال جزء من الآدمي ورخصوا فيما عدا شعر الآدمي إذ أنه لا يعد وصلا عندهم. She says the summary of their view, the khulasa, the summary of their madhab is that it's haram to use human hair mutlaqan, absolutely. One cannot use human hair, period. Because of tazwir, falsehood. And we just commented on that. She says, secondly, because it is using another part of a human being. And the Hanafis have made it permissible to use hair that is not from a human being. Hair that does not come from a human. Whereas they do not consider it to be wasl. Yani linguistically they say it's incompatible with the hadith. Moving forward, التعليق. لم أقف على مستند الحنفية في تخصيصهم الوصل وحرمته إذا كان بشعر الآدمي إلا كون الآدمي محترما حيا وميتا ولكن من أين إباحة الوصل بما عدا شعر الآدمي. She comments on this by saying, I haven't come across the proof that they're using to specify wasl and its impermissibility that it's only a human being's hair. Where are they getting it from that it's haram only for a human? Okay, unless they say that a human being is supposed to be respected, a person's body is respected, living and dead. You can't harm a human when they're alive, you can't harm a human body when they're dead. Now one can argue with this and say, well, it's a business. The woman, she cuts her hair and she sells it, or she gives it, she donates it. Or what if it's her own hair? It's not disrespect. I'm trimming my hair. I don't want it this long. My hair is very long. And I'm giving it to someone else who doesn't have long hair, who wants long hair. What's the debate? What's the problem with that? One may say. But they're looking at the rationale that you don't own your body. It's not your hair to just cut and do whatever you want to do with it. But there are rules to it. There are rules to it. It's sacred. And then she says here, and where are they getting the reality? Where are they getting the fact that it's permissible if it isn't human hair? Where is that coming from? From the ahadith. So this is the author's commentary on their madhab. She doesn't agree with that. She says, وعلى أي حال فإن تخصيصهم هذا يناقض نص الحديث الصحيح الذي زجر فيه النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم المرأة أن تصل برأسها شيئا. She says, at the end of the day, whatever is mentioned, this exclusion that they're making, only human beings here, it goes against the hadith. That's right to the point, in which the Prophet ﷺ forbade anything to be placed on a woman's head, meaning of extending and of lengthening. فقد روى جابر رضي الله عنه أنه قال زجر النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أن تصل المرأة برأسها شيئا. Jabir رضي الله عنه has narrated in Hadith in Sahih Muslim that the Prophet ﷺ has forbade a woman extending her hair with anything. شيئا, anything it says. هنا عام يفيد الوصل بأي شيء. And this hadith is clearly general. It's clearly general and it isn't specific to human beings' hair. هذا من ناحية. He said this is from one aspect. ومن ناحية أخرى فإن علة التحريم الواردة عندهم في تحريم الوصل بشرع العدم تتحقق أيضا فيما سواه، وذلك في علة التزوير إذ هو متحقق في الوصل بالوبر والخرق والصوف وغيرها كما هو متحقق في استعمال شعر العدمي والله تعالى أعلم بالصواب. And she says another point that refutes their claim, another reason why she doesn't agree with them. This is comparative study of fiqh now. She says that the same wisdom or the same reason or rationale behind it being permissible to use human beings' hair is the same with regards to animal hair or wool or yarn or anything else. And that is at-tazwir. She says falsehood. That is fraudulence. Is that her hair is not this length, her hair is not this color, her hair is not this style. It's not true, it's not accurate. Alright, and she says in Allah Azza wa Jal, Allah Azza wa Jal, she says, He surely knows best. The same thing is done with regards to fake hair, then it can be done with human hair. It's the same thing. And we explained before how a person can argue with that. As we're going to mention in a few other madhabs, she's going to talk about how some of them say with regards to one's husband. One can say, I'm in the house, I'm not wearing it outside. My husband knows what my hair looks like, just like I dress up for him. And I adorn myself. Okay? And Allah Azza wa Jal knows best. So that is the Hanafi madhab with regards to extending and lengthening the hair. This is the first part. There are several other madhabs that she's going to mention and discuss and debate and argue with. Allah Azza wa Jal surely knows best.